Oh yes, and now after we did all of that, then we still had to sing. Hi, my name's Morgan, and Disney paid me to be a dancing knife. Guten Morgen, everyone. Pull up a chair, grab a snack. This is gonna be a long, detailed blast from the past where I tell you all about my experience working for Disney Theatricals and Stella in Germany in the production of Beauty and the Beast. It's gonna be part story time, and I have video of it, and I asked the members of the channel if this was the video they wanted to see, and this is what we came up with. So if you wanna be more involved in the channel and also help support what I do, underneath the video, if you're watching on desktop, there's a little button that says join, and you can click on that and find out all about how it works. The original Broadway version of Beauty and the Beast opened in New York in 1994, and even though it didn't really get great reviews, it still became one of the longest running musicals in history. After the success of the Broadway production, there were several tours quickly launched, and all within 1 year, stationary productions opened in Los Angeles, Toronto, and Melbourne, Australia, where Gaston was played by this guy named Hugh Jackman. Wonder what happened to him. Then in 1997, Disney's Beauty and the Beast, also known as Die Schöne und das Biest, moved to Stuttgart, Germany, where it ran for 3 years, and that was the company that I became a part of in the last year of production. My contract started in December 1999 and went until the final performance, December 22nd in 2000. Yeah, it was a while ago. When the auditions for this production were announced, I was already living and working in Germany and actually in Stuttgart. I was doing Miss Saigon in a theater which is directly across the street from where Beauty and the Beast was, so it was very practical. Beauty was already running, but some of the people in the production, their contracts were up and they were leaving to do other things, or they were being asked to leave by the production company. And I was auditioning to replace one of those people. So as usual, there was a dance audition, and those of us who made it through the dance audition were asked to stay and sing. That's the way all auditions work for high-level theater, be it Broadway or West End or Germany or wherever. Not long after that, I was contacted by the production company. They sent me LeFou's song, which is Gaston in the tavern. Gosh, it disturbs me to see you, Gaston, looking so down in the dumps. Which got me really excited because that meant that not only were they considering me for an ensemble role or chorus role, but also for the role of LeFou, or at least to understudy LeFou, which of course is, you know, fantastic. I spent so much time preparing this audition, and then when the day came, I was really nervous, and even though I felt totally confident going into the audition, I totally blew it. I knew that the role was very physical and had a lot of energy, and that's what I tried to bring into the audition, but my own nervous energy just ramped it up way too high. And I remember I walked into the room and I told, without being asked, I told a story of what happened to me that morning that I was practicing the audition in a studio in the other theater, and I didn't realize it, but there was a whole tour group watching me practice. And when they discovered that I knew they were there and they knew I were there, we were all embarrassed. Anyways, it doesn't matter, but I went into the audition and I told that story, and I realized as I was telling it that I was totally cringing out the audition panel. I remember looking at the associate director, Dan Mojica from Broadway, and the resident director, Janie Walsh-Weber from Stuttgart, and as I was telling the story, this is what they look like.
There's like this tour group standing outside, and I didn't even know they were there, and they didn't even know I was there, and then I opened the door and then we all saw each other, and it was like so embarrassing. I just couldn't believe that it was really happening, and I just really had to tell you that before I do.
Months later, the resident director, Janie, actually told me that they were scared of me, that they thought that I was like imbalanced or something, and they were sure at that moment, before I even saying, that they did not want to offer me a job. And I ended up getting that "sorry, don't call us, we'll call you" call not long after.
However,
the night before rehearsal was supposed to begin for that group of people, somebody quit. And in a total act of desperation, they offered me the job. I very distinctly remember when the assistant company manager called me and he literally said, "Hi Morgan, yeah, this is from Beauty and the Beast. I'm calling because I have to offer you a contract. Have to. Nice. Would you be able to be in the rehearsal studio tomorrow at 10 a.m. and then we can talk about the contract on your lunch break? And I was like, okay. And that's how it all began. The rehearsal process for this show was extremely exhausting for me because we were rehearsing full time from like 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. during the day. And then at night, I was going across the street and performing in Miss Saigon until 11 o'clock at night. It was hardcore, full on, and it was really hard on my body and my mind, but it was fantastic on my bank account because I was making 2 complete Broadway salaries, basically. Those were some good months. I don't remember the exact date of my premiere when we first went on stage and joined the company, but sometime in December of 1999, I had my first show, and I don't remember a lot of that show specifically, and altogether, I performed Beauty and the Beast around 400 times. We did 8 shows a week, and there's 52 weeks in a year, so you do the math. Like I said, I don't really remember that first show, but I am so lucky that one of my friends in the cast of Saigon came and he smuggled a video camera into the theater, which, you know, in 1999, video cameras were chunky. So we're gonna look at some video clips of that show now, and remember, this is, what it actually is it's a video of a video. So it's been like converted twice. And you know, video cameras back in 1999 were already not a really great quality. But I'm still so happy to have this recording. And we're gonna get into it right after this commercial break. Yes, it's new here on Guten Morgen, commercials. It makes me happy. If you got a commercial, please let me know what it was about in the comments below. Okay, the first number I want to show you is an excerpt from Gaston, which is the tavern number where LeFou is trying to cheer up Gaston after Belle has, you know, told him basically, bye-bye, there's nothing happening here. By the way, I did end up getting the understudy of LeFou and played that role also several times, but in these recordings of the show, I am in my chorus track. I do have a little clip of me as LeFou backstage though, and I'll show you that later. And as you're watching these clips, just look at how ornate and gigantic this production was. I think it's probably the most expensive musical I've ever been a part of. Anyways, let's get into it. So this is already the middle of the number, and you're gonna see me in a second. And by the way, I'm just realizing that my hat fell off in this performance. So that's me over there on the side next to LeFou. And this is not yet like the most famous part of the number. That's coming up in a second. So we're getting close to a choreography or a section of the show called the clink line. And anybody who's ever done this version of this show will tell you how famous or infamous it is. Hold on, let me just stop it for a second. So this original choreography, award-winning choreography, is by Matt West, and Matt West is also in the movie Chorus Line, so I mean, just like showbiz legend. He created this choreography for the Broadway production, and I learned the choreography from Janie Walsh-Weber, TJ He, and Jackie Donnelly-Went. I think it's important to just honor the people who, you know, created this magic. This choreography that you're about to see is so complicated. We all have these metal mugs, and actually, I have some right here. I was gifted these at the end of the production, so I didn't steal them. I'm totally allowed to have them. And when you hit them together, they make a clinking sound, which I'm gonna do right now. So we all have these in our hands, and then when we were learning this number, there were several different combinations of clinking. You can clink with yourself like this, and then you can clink with others like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, between the leg, behind your back, both to one side, to the other side, shoulder height, waist height, above the head. Totally complicated patterns of interaction using these metal mugs, and I think anybody who's ever done this version of the show will also be able to show you scars on their hands from when you missed the mug and hit somebody's flesh. I'm gonna try to show you some of mine. There's one right here. And I also have one here. I know they look small, but this is just like, this was part of the job is just about every week, sometime you would have an open wound on your hand from this dance number. So this is the famous award-winning Matt West clink line. Clink. Dun, 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 clink. Dun, 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 dun. Do you see how complicated this is? And it only gets worse. So now the girls come into it as well. Was so exhausting, and it wasn't only using, you know, like the big muscles in your body, but also the small muscles in your hands. And now it's everybody. Now it's like basically the entire company. Oh yes, and now after we did all of that, and we still had to sing. Gaston is Brad Spencer, and LeFou is Bernd Julius Ahrens. I had so much fun in this show, and I have more clips. We're gonna look at more clips, but it was exhausting, but just so much fun. It just was great to be part of telling the story and that kind of entertainment, and sometimes I really miss it. All right, another number in the show that is really famous in any version of the show is of course Be Our Guest, the big party scene where the objects in the castle are inviting Belle to come to dinner, and it turns into a big, colorful spectacle, and the original version is no different. And this is the part of the show where most of the ensemble was some kind of object. There is an egg timer on stage, a spatula, knives, clocks, candles, you name it. And it was one thing that was really made fun of in the original production, that like, oh my gosh, there's dancing knives on stage. Disney's gone crazy. I was a knife in this part of the show. And if I remember correctly, I mean, like I said, this was a very lavish production. It is all like the original in Broadway, but bigger, because the theater that we were in Stuttgart is bigger. But the costumes, designed by Anne Hould Ward is her name, were also so intricate and so ornate and so expensive. So what you're gonna see is me as a knife in the beginning of Be Our Guest, and this knife is a gigantic plastic appliance basically that is hooked into a hard backpack that I'm wearing underneath several sparkling layers of clothing. And I remember that was one of the first things that had to be done when I joined the company, was they needed to like get me measured for the costumes because they took so long to create. And like I said, I got offered the contract the day before rehearsal began. So in order to make this like form-fitting hard backpack that was fit under my costume, I had to get a mold made of like basically from my neck to my butt. And actually this is also something I still have. This was an extra piece of the plastic-like substance that they use to create the backpack. Oh my gosh, I just broke it. Backpack, backpack, backpack. That's 2020 and 2021 for you. Oh well, I still have it. Anyways, you can kind of see how thick it is. Let's see here. There. And so this was a big sheet and it was warmed up and then molded around my back, and then they cut parts of it off. And then yeah, I wore it under my costume, and this big like plastic or fiberglass or whatever knife, which is actually much lighter than it looks, is like slid into it. And this choreography was also so much fun. Of course, also challenging because the whole way your body moves when you're wearing something like this that changes the shape and where your center is. And also we had like these big toothpicks like as canes. So physically challenging, but just so much fun. So what you're about to see is us entering at the beginning of Be Our Guest, and I am the knife. Just look at how lavish this production is. Lumiere there is Thierry Gondet. I still remember a lot of it. Like I said, I just loved this choreography, and this number becomes this huge, huge number with an amazing set with confetti cannons and fireworks, but unfortunately, the guy who recorded this for me almost got busted during the middle of it, so I don't have the end of this number in any kind of quality that would be worth showing to you. But yeah, it looked like this at the end. So like I promised, I also have some clips of me backstage, and we're gonna look at those also after a short commercial break. Did you get one? If you did, I'm happy, and if you didn't, that's fine too. All right, our head of makeup and wigs, Jörg, took a video camera around backstage. I think this looks like it may be the last day of the run, December 22nd. And by the way, if you're wondering why it closed, it's a complicated answer. Like any musical, just after a while, less people come, and when less tickets are being sold, then you know, eventually it doesn't make sense to keep it running. It's time to put something new in there that will maybe interest more people again from a business standpoint. But not only our production, every musical production in Germany was really suffering at that time, and one of the big production companies that was responsible for this show and Miss Saigon and Joseph and many other musicals that were running at the time actually went bankrupt. Yeah, I was working for a company that went bankrupt, and we were all worried about, are we gonna get paid? What's gonna happen? So all those factors led to the show closing December 22nd of 2000, which was really a pity because I would have loved to do this show longer. But so here's a clip of me backstage after most likely my last time going on stage as an understudy for LeFou, and this is me and some friends playing around in the dressing room after the show. But you can see I've got my teeth blacked out and I've got this big costume on. You can see all the pads I have underneath the costume because LeFou, like I said, is a very active part, and Gaston is always throwing him around, punching him, he's falling down, running into things, and I'm basically wearing a stuntman costume under the LeFou costume.
Ist das Ding gebügelt, alles klar? Okay? Ist das klar? Gut. Oh, hallo.
Hi, oh.
Marvin, was war das?
Das war nur ein
Kannst du mir
Spiel.
mal bitte helfen beim Aus... Ist dir ausgerutscht?
And here is a small clip of me wearing my tavern costume. There I have the hat on that fell off in the clip that I showed you of the musical number.
Ich folge dir morgen.
Warum folgst du mir? Weg, verrückter Pferd.
I have so many memories of this show, good memories and also some really not so great memories. The company was met while I was performing in it with some tragedy, and there's been quite a lot of bad news from people in that company since then. But yeah, altogether, just a lot of really great memories too, and I have stories that I could tell, but I think I'm just gonna leave it there for now. And if you want to hear more, let me know. It was so great to be a part of that show, and I was in much more of the show than just those 2 numbers, but these are the numbers that are interesting and worth showing. And I really enjoyed just sitting down here and going through this and sharing it with you. And if any of you have any questions about what it was like or what working as a musical actor is like altogether, then please just write them in the comments below. I read all the comments. I try to answer just about everything. And I'm happy that I can share this and maybe inspire you somehow, or just entertain you and, distract you from whatever else you're supposed to be doing today. If you like these kind of videos, also let me know. I also have video clips of me in Miss Saigon and in Greece and in Mamma Mia, which we've already talked about on this channel, but I haven't showed you any videos of me in the show. So if those are things that you'd also like to see, then yeah, like I said, let me know. Also coming up on this channel is going to be an update on that hair piece that I ordered that was supposed to be a stick-on strip that came as something else. I am in the process of using PayPal to try to get the money back because the company said that they sent me what it is I ordered, which, excuse me, if you've watched the video, you know that what they sent me is not what was in the ad. So that will be coming up here also soon on this channel, and I look forward to showing that to you too. And until then, have a good one.